Good morning. Welcome to your program Agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran, thanking you for joining us today on the 5th day of July 2023. It's a Wednesday, and thank you for being subscribers of Cignal TV. You are watching us via One News on channels 8 and 250. And of course, we thank those who watch us via Facebook and on YouTube or the Cignal Play app. Maraming salamat po sa mga kababayang nanonood abroad, sa mga probinsya, etc., etc. Sabi nga nung The King in The King and I. Okay, today we are going to be talking about a dream. Wish mo lang. Many Filipinos have that they could have their own home. They could have their own house and lot, condo, townhouse, or whatever. But apparently, that wish is 25 times more impossible compared to other places for Filipinos, because owning a house, especially in Metro Manila, is about 25 times more expensive than your average salary. Okay, so we will discuss that. Why is this happening? Excuse me. Why are other countries doing better? And what can we do? But first of all, excuse me, let's go to our daily starter from NBA player. Di ko alam kung player pa siya. Chris Paul, okay? NBA player Chris Paul, professional basketball player, who says everything you want is on the other side of hard. Okay, now what is this daily starter all about? It is nice to have dreams. It is nice to wish for things. It is nice to hope for things. But everything, even love, even work, etc., they all require hard work. Okay, so with what Chris Paul said, everything is on the other side of hard. Yun yung kanilang way of speaking. You have to work hard at it. If you want to look good, you have to work hard at it. That's what the Koreans do. If you want to be healthy, you have to work hard at it now. Not wait when you are sick or when you are struggling with your body, with your health. You need to work hard on it now. So there is no free ride. There is no, when you wish upon a star, you need to work hard. Okay, let's now go to the front page of the Philippine Star. July 5, 2023. It's hot and sunny, and the headline goes, COVID-19 emergency de facto lifted, okay, according to DOH. Okay, with the wearing of face masks now optional, and COVID, just like common respiratory diseases, the Department of Health, or DOH, said the state of public health emergency has been de facto lifted. Kumbaga, nandyan na yan. Yan na yung katotohanan. Okay, so the photo you see is the fight is over, never to COVID again, with Secretary Ted Herbosa. Okay, now, top of the front page, the header, BBM to DOJ, NBI probe smuggling of agri-products. Okay. This was triggered by a congressional hearing which was memo sent to the president saying that there is substantial evidence to point out that there has been a onion cartel, etc. Nako po, ang dami nating pag-uusapan dyan sa bagay na yan. Meanwhile, while we are all struggling with agricultural smugglers in the Philippines, corrupt people at customs and the BIR, etc., when agricultural product importers are bringing in stuff, the Pag-asa declares the onset of El Nino. I'm sure naramdaman nyo na yan. That photo is a photo of a farmer walking over cracked soil on a dried up Nueva Ecija field. Okay, yan po. Temperatures are expected to soar across large parts of the world after the El Nino weather pattern emerged in the tropical Pacific for the first time in 7 years. Okay, patututuhanan ko na po yan. Even in our getaway place in Lipa, Batangas, ay nako, mainit na po, pawisan kami araw-araw. And here's another thing that will trigger you sweat for any Filipino. The Philippine debt or utang has hit the record of 14.1 trillion as of last May. That was 2 months ago. Ay nako, yan po. We are now borrowing so much money but not making a lot of money. Okay. FDA to look into fake celeb drug endorsements. The Department of Health will instruct the FDA or Food and Drug Administration to probe the online proliferation of fake celebrity endorsements of unregistered drugs and food supplements. Okay, this has been confirmed by Secretary Ted Herbosa, who has observed the matter and is reacting to the probe being called by Senator Jinggoy Estrada. Speaking of probes, DOJ to probe prosecutors who bungled major drug case. Following the Supreme Court's acquittal of 5 Chinese and a Filipino believed to be part of a major drug ring, the Department of Justice said yesterday it would probe the prosecutors who bungled a 1 billion drug case in 2003 and implement measures to achieve higher conviction rates. Ay, padisbar nyo kung guilty. DOJ spokesman Miko Clavano said the blunder should be a reminder for state prosecutors to comply with the chain of custody rule to prevent acquittals of drug traffickers. Meanwhile, ito po, pay attention to this. House to seek facts on tourism and mess after denouncing the Department of Tourism and its agency contractor over a tourism promotion video gaffe. Albay Representative Joey Salceda has mellowed and even promised to help beleaguered DOT Secretary Cristina Frasco to fix the problem. Okay, so yun po, they are going to seek facts instead of conduct a hard-nosed investigation. Well, that about wraps up the news on the front page of the Philippine Star. Today, July 5, 2023, might I remind all of you, we are broadcasting live through the facilities of PLDT Home Fiber Optic Internet here today in Capitolio, Pasig. Pasensya na kayo kasi may mga nagsasabing akala nila 100% living in the province na si Kuya Cito Beltran. I'm here in Capitolio, Pasig, and today let's start our conversation regarding your wish, okay? Your wag naman bucket list. Kasi bucket list, bago ka raw mamatay. But let's talk about the wish of many Filipinos to have their own home or their own house. Gab Malyari, please roll out the Betamax.
Can you afford a house in Metro Manila? Based on the 2023 Asia-Pacific Home Attainability Index by the Urban Land Institute, the median home price in Metro Manila is 24.8 times higher than its median annual household income. This makes the capital region one of the most expensive cities in East and Southeast Asia. Metro Manila's home affordability ratio is also higher than Metro Cebu and Davao City. The study stated that the country suffers from limited housing stock and poor urban transportation. How can the government make houses in Metro Manila more affordable in the future? Let's discuss that on today's agenda.
Techie Bautista currently serves as the Vice President for Academic Affairs of the Chamber for Real Estate and Builders Associations, or CREBA. Bautista is also the President of Gutterson Realty and Development Corporation. She is credited with initiating the Executive Diploma Program in Real Estate Management, the first in the history of real estate in the Philippines. Carl D. is a well-established real estate broker and investor in the country. He is currently president of Spectrum Investments, a property portfolio management company. D shared his expertise in his two books entitled Creating Wealth Through Property and 6 Steps to Renting Out Your Condo.
Good morning, Techie and Carl. Welcome to the program. Okay, so let's get on with the conversation. Who wants to go first? Ladies first siguro. Mauna na si Ate Techie. Techie, you're with CREBA. That's the biggest organization of real estate builders, developers. What's your reaction to this study?
Yeah. Well, it is true that there is really a big demand for housing, but there are several factors that also slows down the market. And these are things that, number one, talaga land use, no? Availability of land. Ang mahirap kasi, maraming demand, pero yung lupa, hindi defined kung para talaga saan gagamitin. So, first, I forgot to say good morning to all of you. Anyway, without a national land use law, walang defined uses of specific land. So, open to speculation, open to negotiation, and open to a lot of things, no? That makes the price of land very, very expensive. So, ang problema, kailangan ayusin natin yan eh. No? Kasi hanggat hindi, kasi ang isang napaka-importanting element ng housing and real estate development, and for that matter, is land. So, hanggat hindi ayos yan, mahihirapan tayo.
Let me go to Carl. Carl, good morning, and please give us your initial reaction to this study.
Good morning, Sir Cito and Ms. Techie. Wonderful day. Yeah, totally. Just like Ms. Techie, I totally agree with the study. No, na nagkakaroon talaga ng na differences na. It's all because of yung low income talaga ng average Filipino. That is really the source of the problem, the low income. And then, dahil nga we have poor public transportation, hindi ganun kabilis maka-expand. In other countries kasi, you see the metro expanding outside. Mas mura yung mga outside, pero accessible by train, by bus. So yun talaga yung another issue. We hope to have better public transport para we can expand the city.
Okay, having said that, okay, now, I remember Mr. Ramon Ang of San Miguel telling me many years ago, saying, Cito, hindi na gumagawa ng lupa ang Diyos. Tataas at tataas ang halaga ng lupa. Now, with that in mind, are we over-focusing in Metro Manila? Because clearly, this study emanated or was based primarily on Manila and all the other metropolitan centers of the other countries around us. Are we over focusing housing in Metro Manila because the jobs are here?
Yeah, true, no? And necessarily so, because the jobs and the economic activities are here. Pero, pwede naman nag-umpisa na tayo slowly, no? Going out of Metro Manila. Cebu is beautiful and fast developing, Davao and all the rest of them, even Bacolod, no? So, ang importante, already going out of Metro Manila slowly. But again, I agree with Carl, kulang talaga sa mass transportation. Hindi siya reachable, no, for the common tao. So nagpipilit pa rin sa Metro Manila. So ang bagal, and then on the part of the developers, hirap kami kasi hindi namin alam kung saan kami mag-develop. Pagka lumapit ka naman sa isang lupa, biglang mag-shoot up yung presyo at ang dami mo ng pakikisamahan. So, kailangan talaga yung Land Use Act and the zoning ordinances.
Okay, this is a free for all, so don't wait for my questions before you say anything. But Carla, what Techie was saying, okay, so land use is a problem. You said that mobility is an issue. But how exactly are land prices driven? Can they be regulated, etc.? Because parang there are places here in Metro Manila na impossible eh. Parang how do you justify the per square meter price of that? Yung mga 250,000 daw or 300,000 per square meter in Makati. Totoo ba yun?
Yan Sir Cito, we have to understand kasi the Philippines is a developing country, no? Vis-a-vis, let's say, Singapore, that is, or Australia, which is a first world country. In a first world country, everybody's like middle income. Di ba? Walang masyadong mayaman, walang masyadong mahirap, which is good. There's enough public transport, lahat okay. In the Philippines, what I'm seeing right now is the separation more further pa. The wealthy becomes wealthier and the average become, staying average. So that is really bringing challenge to our country. So, nawala tuloy ako sa question mo, Sir Cito.
No, how are we determining prices? Kasi yung capital gains tax or real estate tax, sabi nga daw nila dalawa depende kung sino kausap mo. Kung kausap mo tiga City Hall, ito yung value. Kung kausap mo tiga CREBA o tiga Spectrum, ito yung value.
That's true, Sir Cito. Talagang at the end of the day, it's driven by the market. Diba? Ms. Techie, no? If people are willing to pay 1 billion for a residential property in Makati, then that will drive the price up. So I think as long as there are people buying, then talagang the seller will keep on raising up the prices. But Sir Cito, that's really an isolated case on higher end properties. I feel that there are a lot of opportunities in the nearby Metro Manila, yung mga kumbaga malapit sa Manila, for example, Bulacan, Valenzuela, Antipolo. These are just immediate cities outside Manila, and I feel that will be the next growth area para mas cheaper, and there is educated workforce in the area.
Okay, Techie, is moving out of Metro Manila the answer? Or is it, you said land use policy. May lupa pa ba sa Metro Manila?
Oo, nakakagulat, no? Si Congressman Albi Benitez conducted the study and came up with several thousands of available land within Metro Manila. So I was really so surprised. But he came up with a good list of that, no? So ibig sabihin, maraming available. Kaya lang, hindi nga accessible, hindi siya, it's not easy to get these properties kasi may mga interest. Let's say like ang LGU mismo, no, guilty riyan eh. They hang on to their inventories kasi gusto nila maging commercial value. Inaantay nila. In the meantime, hindi magamit, no? Pero ang daming available.
Can we run through that, Techie, Carl? Kasi alam ko, okay, NAIA, The Manila International Airport is several hectares, 50 plus hectares yata yun. You have the Camp Aguinaldo, you have Camp Crame, you have University of the Philippines. Ano pa ba yung mga alam ninyo na malalawak na lupain pa that could actually integrate housing into their design? Because we don't have proper decent housing for soldiers, for PNP personnel, kakonte, and even for students and faculty.
Sir Cito, you said it right, Sir Cito. No? There are big chunks of available land in the metro. So I guess the bottom line is the government have to step in and like build more affordable housing. Just like the Singapore, yung mga HDB nila, di ba? It's government housing, it's affordable, there's longer pay light. Kasi if we're gonna depend on the developer, they have to profit, di ba? They have to acquire the land. Unlike a government, the land is there, they can source out the construction cheaper. So you're right, Sir Cito, the government really needs to step in.
Okay, Techie.
Yes, that's true. Wala ngang yun nga ang irony, no? Sa metro kaya pa natin mag-build ng maraming bahay, no? Kaya lang again, we have to prevail upon the local government also to allow this to happen. And magagawa lang 'yan through a National Land Use Act, no? Kasi ang National Land Use Act, i-define na niya Kunwari sa Quezon City, anong area ang for housing, anong area ang commercial, for industrial and so forth. So, pagka na-define na isang area allocated for housing, the developers can start planning on how to put up the houses there. And then, through the zoning ordinances, madi-define din ang mga prices. So pagka alam mo naman, ang real estate development, kailangan minimum 5 years to plan out, no? At saka masyadong mataas ang cost of money. So, hindi kami po pwede kasi na na i-consider ang isang lupa and then all of a sudden nag-shoot up lahat, no? Magpakita ka lang ng interest sa isang lupa, iba na ang presyo niyan, iba na ang konsiderasyon. Kasi nga, walang batas na nagdi-define. No? That would really make it easier for developers to undertake housing. Walang Yun nga,
But wait a minute, Techie. You mentioned that the cost of money is prohibitive. Hindi ba kayo suportado? Aren't you supported by the land bank, by DBP, etc.? Are there no government banks that help real estate developers? Because you're required, CREBA members are required to allocate 15% of your projects to social housing components. Dapat may kapalit siguro yun.
Yung yung socialized housing, kompleto ng subsidies yan tax-free, tapos syempre kompleto dahil donation lang yan from the developers So dapat naman hindi na kami magbayad masyado on that. Hindi masyadong issue yung socialized, no? Pero when it comes to open markets, especially urban centers, hindi dapat yung pugad ng socialized. Hindi. Kasi ang urban centers like Metro Manila, hindi dapat gamitin primarily for socialized. Totoo yun, periphery, no? Pwede, basta accessible lang yung lugar, pwede na, no? Pero within the center, dapat open market yan Totoo yun, sinasabi mo, 250 per square meter on prime properties. And there are takers, no? Kasi they build 40-story high. So, kuhang-kuha nila yung 250, no? So, ang lang, when we talk yung housing backlog and housing problems, it's primarily the open market, no? Kasi yung open market na yan, walang masyadong subsidy yan Talagang private private undertakings. So kung pala sa lupa pa lang may iipit na kami, hindi kami makakausad, 'di ba? Tapos noon kung ang negotiation sa land is hindi siya medium term or long range, no? Hindi kami makaka-project ng funding.
So lumalabas, Techie, land use and land value are not legislated, regulated. So it is open pricing, winner take all. Now, Carl, that
housing remains inaccessible for millions of Filipinos, especially low-income and large families, as well as those who live in highly urbanized cities. So, what exactly has the government been doing to address this? For one, President Bongbong Marcos reaffirmed his commitment to build 1 million houses every year before the end of his term. According to Human Settlements and Urban Development Secretary Jerry Acuzar, the government will deliver around 100,000 housing units by next year. Marcos added that the national government is working with local government units to achieve the government's housing target. Will this be enough? That's another topic for today's agenda.
Okay, welcome back to your program, and with us are Carl D. and Techie Bautista Parungaw. We're discussing this problem. Carl, before we went to that abrupt break, my apologies, I was asking you, who can afford all of these excessively expensive high-rises?
Yeah, definitely, Sir Cito. The real talk is it's harder now for the average Filipinos to buy the property, especially in the metro. So I guess for those average income earner, among average natin sa Philippines is only like 30,000 a month, 25,000 a month, versus let's say a first world country na 150,000 a month. So that is really the root cause of our problem. So ideally, for regular Filipinos listening out there, try to increase your income. As you increase your income, then look for properties in the outskirts na mas mura.
Yeah, but right, I mean, the question is, who are buying these units, Techie, Carl? Kasi I keep hearing rumors, mariteses telling me ang bumibili ay mga mainland Chinese investors, mga foreigners daw who turn them into rental units. And someone even suggested, Cito, if you can still make time, do a deep dive or find connections, because it may be a form of money laundering for corrupt officials, past and present.
Everything you said, sir, is true, no? So different categories of buyer. Generally, our buyers in the Philippines generally are people who are making more money right now than before. So na yung business nila, dati we go to retail stores, now we go to online stores. So dati it needs 10 stores sa mall, ngayon isang bodega na lang, and that's where you order online. So that's where the new money is coming from right now. Definitely the money laundering part of the foreign buyers, they're still there. And yun, as long as usually pag renting, they're renting to their own nationality. That is a Chinese, if they have a business somewhere, they would buy it para ma-rent out nila to their employees.
Okay, what about you, Techie? What are your observations? Who end up buying these expensive condominiums, houses, etc.?
Well, actually, hindi naman natin pwedeng piliin ang buyers, no? So sa condo, which is under the investment law of the Philippines, may limit naman eh. So they end up getting dummies to buy it for them, no? Pero again, it's really just a business as far as they're concerned. The more serious issue is the homes for the Filipinos, no? Ang number one factor sa very slow movement of being able to get your homes, number one is land use, no? Coupled with the zoning ordinance that would peg the price, at least range, no? Hindi ka maaabuso. The second is the incentives, no? Meron tayong on the socialized housing, meron tayong threshold na 750 na nire-recommend ng mga developers to move to 1 million para yung subsidies can be availed of on units up to 1 million threshold. Yun yung sa socialized. Merong second layer, which is yung open market. Right now, ang threshold or the cap for the subs or the VAT-free units is 3.2 million. Okay? Hindi na tayo makakagawa. Tumaas ang presyo ng lupa, tumaas ang presyo ng lahat ng bagay, especially materials and labor. So, yung threshold na 3.2 million, ang request ng developers gawing 4.2 million. Hindi pa na-approve yun. Matagal na, mahigit 10 taon. Ngayon, anong effect niyan? ang effect ng mababang threshold, ang vatable units will only be up to 3.2 million. So anything above that, mag-vatable na, no? So biglang shoot up ang prices. So what happens? Ang mga developers and the buyers, pinipilit ibaba sa 3.2 ang mga units. Ang nagsasuffer, quality. So diyan mo nakikita na hindi talagang quality yung nasusunod kasi pinipilit lahat na hanggang 3.2 lang. So pagka ginawa natin yung 4.2 million threshold or limit for the vatable unit, non-vatable, medyo mag-increase yung ating mag-improve yung ating quality and the buyers will also be able to get better units and mas magkakaroon sila ng confidence.
Techie, can you just I don't know, clarify for me, baka mali yung impression ko eh. Is the government collecting money from all of this? When you guys construct social housing or when you build projects that are supposed to be for low-income Filipinos, Carl, do you know if the government collects some amount of money in the process and how much?
I think definitely the government, you mentioned Ms. Techie, the VAT, that's one. And then, of course, there's also the capital gains tax, the doc stamp. So definitely, they get their share.
Okay, but what about in the construction, Techie? Because my point is this, parang housing is a fundamental responsibility of the state. And my constant complaint about the Philippine government is it is designed and mindset to collect, not to subsidize, not to give help to its taxpayers and its citizens.
Exactly.
Very true. Ang problema nga natin, 10 years ago, they already passed some caps, no? Nagbigay sila ng vatable and non-vatable, nagbigay sila ng socialized and the limits of socialized housing. Kaya lang matagal na yan, mahigit ng 10 taon, hindi updated according to current times. So in the meantime, nag-hold back din ang mga developers kasi hindi naman kikita no? Kasi ipiting kami sa cost of land, sa cost of materials, tapos yung governance, makikipag-usap ka, may bayad yun lahat ng pakikipag-usap. So, taas na ng taas lahat ng elements, ng components. In the meantime, the subsidies and the incentives are not updated accordingly. Yun ang mahirap. So, malaki ang gap.
Are builders and developers merely struggling with local taxes, local fees, processes, or meron pa ring element of corruption? Because I remember a few years back, if you were in telecoms, minimum 50 to 150,000 binabayad ng mga telco to set up an antenna or a cell site in the provinces or even in Metro Manila for special use permit. What about in real estate? What do you guys know?
Imagine mo naman ang transaction sa real estate, million yan. No? Bihira ang thousands. So usually million ang pinag-uusapan. Masyadong makinang yun. Lahat ng tao nagugulat sa kinang. So anyway.
So there is still corruption in property development, even in public housing in terms of the quick releasing of documents. Dun ba?
Well, yung sa ease of doing business, medyo na-fast track na ang process, no? Medyo mahirap dahil ikukulong ka no? Malaki na rin ang naging impact ng ARTA, no? Anti-red tape law. Maganda naman, kaya lang on the ground sa usapang madali ang ganda. Pero sa pagdating mo sa baba at yung actual na usapan na at pirmahan ng mga papeles, may presyo 'yon. So alam mo na, makinang masyadong makinang.
Okay, and at the end of the day, every Filipino pays for it. Carl, your involvement in property development, real estate brokerage, you're more on the upper end, I presume, middle class, upper class ka. Napansin ko lang, parang walang starter homes for college graduates, young company employees. Parang lagi na lang housing for the poor. What? Yeah, go ahead,
Yeah,
please.
definitely, Sir Cito. Maganda yung nabanggit ni Ms. Techie about about private companies developing, no? But from my point of view naman, I would wish for the government to help out, meaning to be proactive in creating, like for Ms. Techie as a developer, maybe some incentives to create developments, di ba? Ganun naman sa first world countries eh. Kunyari, they have a lack of student housing. They will incentivize people to make student housing. Let's say there's an area na puro office worker. They will incentivize people to build housing for their office workers. So, minsan nakakaingit lang how, I guess that's the role of the government, di ba? To see the needs of the countrymen, the taxpayer, and support them with the needs. And if they cannot build it on their own, they incentivize the private companies to be encouraged to build, no? So, yeah.
Yeah. So, what is the situation for for young executives, young company or office workers? In your knowledge, Carl, nakakakuha pa, no? They all stay with mama and papa.
Yeah. At the moment, mama and papa has to step in to help financially. And if you're like the first generation who will buy it, medyo challenge talaga without the help of your parents at this point because there's no incentive. You know, in a first world country, like in Australia, they will give the first-time home buyer 500,000 pesos to encourage them to buy. And then they will give them a 20 to 30-year loan just to encourage that commerce to thrive. So may mga ganung programs.
That is state-provided loan. What about in the Philippines? What are the state-provided loans for potential homeowners? Meron ba outside of Pag-ibig?
I'm not so familiar na, Sir Cito, with the lower market. But right now you have Pag-ibig for the lower market and then the banks. And then you get charged the bank rates.
You get, okay, Techie, what is the reality on the ground?
Well, ang bagal ng production. Yan diyan mo makikita eh. Kasi ang demand napakataas. Pero bakit ang production, despite the available market, hindi sumasabay ang production? Kasi on the part of the producers, the developers, hindi defined kung saan ang lupa, magkano materyales, walang incentives, no? Tapos kamukha niyan, gumagawa ng 1 million homes ang government through the LGU. Napag-aralan ba kung anong impact ng material supplies on the open market? Kasi sa socialize, sa government project of the 1 million homes of President Bongbong, siyempre fully subsidized yan, lahat ng incentive ibibigay. Anong impact niyan doon sa private developers? Diba? Napag-aralan ba yan? Dapat ang private developers also should be given subsidies to balance the effect of that on the supply prices of supply. Parang wala eh. Inaantay namin yon eh kasi sabi namin what is in store for us, 'di ba? Kami ba kasama dun sa 1 million? Anong definition?
Wait a minute. Are we talking about only 1 million houses or 6 million in 6 years?
1 million na lang per year. Kasi yung 6 napakalayo pa. Parang bundok yun eh, para na maakyat natin. So, 1 million muna sa isang taon. So, ang sa akin lang, malaki impact niya sa production eh. Kaya, malaki ang disparity between the need, the demand, and the supply. Very reluctant pa rin ang mga private developers to go into it. Ang mga developers, landed yan. Napakaraming land banking ng mga yan. Kung talagang gugustuhin, malaki magiging contribution. Pero what's in it for them? It's always that. What's in it for me?
Okay, so land use act or law does not exist. So there is no clarity on how government and the public sector can utilize available lands. Like here in Metro Manila, maraming government lands, public spaces, but hindi magamit because they're being utilized for other purposes. Number two, there are very few and very limited specific use funds, financing programs like Pag-ibig, but that doesn't address the kind of housing prices that would be in the CB market. Now, then you mentioned that a lot of local government units or town cities are juggling everything around. So it's a very iffy situation for developers. What other concerns are there, or what other things drive the price of property and of housing that it makes it impossible for regular Filipinos to buy one?
Sir Cito, ako naman, I guess
Oh.
from a developer point of view, the cost of land, number one, the cost of construction, and the cost of working with the government, sabi nga ni Mr. Chi, these are the things that drives up the property. One idea is, let's say UP, maraming available land. If the government will tie up with the developer and say, uy, developer, I need student housing in this at this price point, 2.5 million. If you can build this, I'll give you the land for free or something like that. Basta you commit to build something within 2.5 range. So things like that will help make affordable properties available.
Okay, what else?
Mr. Chi, how about you?
Sa akin talaga is the land use and the zoning. Kasi diyan nakataya lahat eh. Pagka kunwari, nakadefine na, itong lupa na to gagamitin natin for economic houses, di ba? So nakadefine magkano yung lupa, magkano magiging utang namin sa bangko to put the project together, magkano materials, meron ba kami incentives diyan, available ba? Kasi kung minsan walang materials, so nadidelay yung project, tumataas ang cost ng project. So yan ang mga very unpredictable factors. And because of that, yung ngayon, yung prices would shoot up, and then most people cannot afford it. And then
what about what about corruption in the private sector, Techie? Because kayo, CREBA, you are real estate developers, but you're not necessarily construction companies, you're not necessarily the architectural firm or the etc. etc. Pag-usapan nga natin yan because some people have told me, Cito, hindi lang naman gobyerno ang may kasalanan dyan. Yung mga builder, contractor na kumukuha ng 5-10% dun sa supplier, etc. etc. Let's go for a quick break. When we return, let's discuss these problems here on Agenda. Welcome back. Excuse me. Welcome back to your program Agenda, and we are still with Techie Bautista Parungao and Carl D discussing the unaffordable houses or homes in the Philippines. Okay, Techie, you were about to express your emotion.
Hindi. Kasi nga, ang mahirap kasi, itong 6 million houses, makakatulong ang private sector. Pero pwede ho ba ilabas nila yung location ng inventory. Kung saan ba yan? Kasi kung kunwari, malalaman natin dito sa Taguig, hindi, wag Taguig, it's very fast moving. Let's say, Novaliches, alam natin na merong requirement for 200,000 houses. Merong lupa na available for that. Tatakbuhan lahat ng developers yan. Di ba? Ayan na, may buyer, may tapos may incentive. Kaso ang nangyayari nga, 1 million, saan? Anong klase? Kasi for all you know, yung 1 million, hindi naman new units yan. Baka naman repair of the roofs lang yan. So, sana transparency on the part of government, so private sector can really help. Ang laki ng power ng private sector. We can really make things happen. Kaya lang, meron ding
why can't private sector just go and look for these places and do it, Carl? What's keeping the private sector from doing it?
The private sector has to be sustainable, sir. They have to make profit to sustain all the costs, diba? Kaya mabigat talaga for a private company without the help of the government. And I also agree with you, Sir Cito, you mentioned kanina na there's lack of housing for the working class, for the student market, for the middle market, diba? May socialized tayo. One of the strategies there, sir, that I heard is the strategy of architect June Palafox, where I worked with him 20 years ago, which is building na. We have to be open to the Singapore mindset na it's a building. Sabi nga nila, there's even a concept wherein the building, nandun na yung school sa baba, nandun na yung office sa baba, may mall sa baba, and the housing is on top. That is a way for the government to work with private sector.
But a friend of mine asked my advice regarding that, Carl. Sabi niya, Kuya, mayroon akong 1,000 plus square meters. Papasukin namin yung socialized housing of DSUD. And ang kapalit, control ko yung ground floor. Lahat yun akin for commercial space. Sabi ko, bata, chinek mo ba kung sino yung titira doon sa taas mo? Kasi baka wala namang pambili ng ng mga bebenta mo doon sa ground floor. Techie, itong mga socialized housing, are they really four-piece or mixed use? Kasi someone told me mixed use, mix daw yan. Merong mga teacher, police, meron daw mga four-piece. Or is it really four-piece talaga for the 6 million housing of BBM?
Okay, going back to your observation, totoo yun. Sabi kasi may mga developers who have already expressed interest in participating in the 1 million homes. Ang concept nila, ang lupa, yung commercial area, which is the podium side, will be for the sale and use and profit of the developer. So yung upper level, yun na yung socialized, whatever, kung sino yung bibili. Ngayon ang question nga doon, number one, hindi pwedeng mag-mix use Kasi kung economic buyer ka, yung employee or corporate or whatever, you wouldn't want to live with socialized people. Di ba? So, the moment na malaman nilang kasama nila sa ganun, iiwas na yung mga economic buyers. Di ba? Hindi siya pwedeng mag-mix use. Pero tama din yung point mo, na kung socialize ang buyer mo, kaya ba nilang i-sustain yung commercial, yung podium, yung commercial area. So, hindi rin kikita. That's why, nung ma-take up yan in one of our meetings, sabi ko, go slow on on that particular deal. Kasi maraming big players who are interested in this. Ang ko lang, it will still end up with economic and the people who have the money. Hindi pa rin niya affordable. Hindi pa rin ma-address ang socialize. Pagka ginawa mong ganyan, ako ay opt, my thinking is, I would rather go on small mid-rise buildings, kasi walang masyadong open space, walang masyadong gastos, Instead of having 1 hectare, 2 hectares, napakalaki ng ng cost of open spaces, socialized, maraming crimes, maraming ganyan-ganyan. Samantalang mas maganda sa urban center, sana magawa sila ng small 1,000 to 5,000 packets of medium rise. Mas mababa ang carrying cost niyan tsaka walang elevator kasi walang magbabayad ng dues, So, parang kumbaga minsan, you should look at the end product and move backward. Hindi yung paplanuhin mo ng big scale, 1 million. Anong breakdown? Anong market? Ano ang composition? Ano ang mix? Hindi
Okay.
namin alam eh. Kami mismo, dapat yan transparency eh. Dapat yan sabihin nila sa amin. So we can look into it. Pipili na kami kung saan namin gusto, di ba? Mabilis.
Mhm. Okay, Carl, let's go to your first proposal that we need to get them out of Metro Manila. Okay.
Yes.
What is the response to suggestions like that of your investor, your buyers? Because I'm sure you have a lot of clients and they either ask you, hey, Carl, I got a lot of money, I want to invest, or Carl, we want to buy property for our home or for our employees. When you tell them get out of Metro Manila, are they receptive?
Yes, sir. I think it depends on your financial capacity, di ba? Parang if you can afford to risk in Metro Manila with the prices, then go ahead by all means. The population is here. But if you're medyo lesser yung financial capacity mo, the next option will be the fringes of Manila, yeah, Valenzuela, Novaliches, Bulacan. Those are all Antipolo. Those are all growing to the south. Meron din, no? So I guess there's two strategies, Sir Cito, to satisfy the housing demand. One is you go outskirt, which is what we're used to. But next one is yung nabanggit ni Ms. Techie, to do it in an urban center to the help of the government, a mid-rise building, just to satisfy yung homeowners' needs of the market in the population.
So something like let's have professional bliss type housing for professionals in Metro Manila, and for those who are on the lower economic level, build housing, subsidized housing outside of Metro Manila with trains, buses, etc. Kasi I have been also pushing for express lanes for motorcycles and scooters, because people are willing to do that. They're willing to take the drive out of Metro Manila on two-wheel vehicles, and it seems to be working for them, Techie.
Yeah, it is. I agree. So today, ang nakuha kong input kay Carl, no, is that there has to be an infrastructure or transport system that has to be in place. Now, there is one concern that I have on land. I call it the 4 A's, no? Ang lupa, hindi lang enough na maging lupa at available. It has to be available, accessible, affordable, and more importantly, is acceptable to the buyers. Kasi yan ang case ng ng Kadamay sa Bulacan. Naggawa sila ng military home sa Bulacan, lang yan call of duty lang ang tawag doon, term of duty or whatever they call it about. It's just a duty that you're put there for 2 years. After that, lilipat ka sa Pampanga, lilipat ka sa Agusan. So, term of duty lang yung pag-stay nila sa Bulacan.
Okay. Pwede kang tumira dyan, depende on your period of deployment in the area.
Pero not for housing for the soldier, ha? Kasi, hindi niya dadali ng pamilya niya sa Zamboanga, titira sa Bulacan for a tour of duty of 2 years. So, yung acceptability, hindi porke mahirap yan at subsidized at socialized buyer. I-demand mo na, ikaw, dito ka sa Bulacan, ikaw dun sa Pampanga, ikaw. Hindi it has to be acceptable to them dahil sila ang titira.
Well, unfortunately, we've run out of time, Techie, Carl, but thank you so much. At least, kumbaga, we opened the can of worms. Okay? May mga susulat na naman ako sa column ko in the Philippine Star, but thank you, Ms. Techie Bautista Parungao and Carl D. Thank you once again for joining us and helping us inform the public. And have a good day. God bless both of you.
Thank you. Thank you, Cito. Thank you, Carl.
Thank you.
Okay, now let's go to our closing blessing for the week. It comes from the second book of Corinthians, chapter 9, verse 10. And the Lord promises, now he who supplies seed to the sower and bread for food will supply and multiply your seed for sowing and increase the harvest of your righteousness. I pray that the Lord will bless you all with supply. Pati na ako, Lord, I want seeds to sow. And Lord, and we pray to all of you. We ask all of you, please pray for Team Agenda. And thank you. And please keep it here on One News. Thanks, Techie.
Yeah.